Good evening, it's your program again, The Nexus, where we provide clarity. Today, we shall be discussing some things I know you are interested in. And we have a guest also in our mix. She's a mother, a senator representing the FCT between 1999 to 2003. She was also the chairman of the Senators Forum. And when she was in the Senate, she was the chairman of the Federal Character, Tourism and Culture of the Senate. She represents the Federal Capital Territory, and she's no other person than Khairat Abdulrazaq Gwadabe, distinguished senator. We welcome you to the Nexus studio, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very sure I'm going to have a very wonderful section. This will be the first time we'll be bringing a female to the studio. And thank God we have someone where intellect, exposure, and beauty is combined together. So I'm very sure I'm going to have a very good and wonderful program. Without any waste of time, since I've already given the introduction that you are a former FCT senator, even though you distinguished members, you say there is nothing like former senator, so I'll just go with the name distinguished senator. I will address you as such. So how were you able, you are from Kwara with what we've seen, and you were able to secure the trust of the people, the inhabitants of the FCT, to give you the top position? Whether a senator is a senatorial position or it is not, it is the highest position in Abuja. So how were you able to secure their trust? What sort of attitude made them trust you to give you that particular high position, ma'am?
Alhamdulillah. Tutu milki man tashao. That's my starting point. And for me, I must say I give glory to God first, and also I'd like to thank all those who voted, the people of the FCT. Till now, they're still with me. And it's all about being able to sell yourself in a manner that people will see in you what they want to see in governance.
In someone that will represent them.
So what they look out for is, well, is this person forthright? Can this person do the job? Can this person do what she says she's going to do? And it's such a long time ago, but my campaign then was just very simple. I'm not going to tell you I'll bring heaven and earth to you, but all I'm asking for is your trust, and I'll do what is expected of me. And they gave it.
Wonderful. Even till now, I doubt if we've had a senator that was as celebrated as yourself. Even till now, everyone still remembers. We have almost 15, 16 years now down the lane. But yet, when you say Senator Khairat, it seems everybody knows who you are. So what were those selling points that you were able to show to the people? Because we've seen people, even in their own constituency, losing now. So what were those particular things that they saw in you? And as of that time, this issue of feminism was still burning. So what were those things that they saw in you? And the Federal Capital Territory, even though it is the center of the country, it's assumed to be in the northern part of the country. So how come they were able to trust a female to lead them?
Yeah, it's very, that's where the glory of God comes in. Now you find it's how you present yourself. And in presenting yourself, what are your programs you want to achieve? For me, when I campaigned, my selling point was very simple. And I'm out here, a lady. Would you vote for a woman? And I'll make you laugh. I used to say to them during the campaign that my final pitch was, if you can I will allow you to vote for anybody you want from the opposition, provided that person is prettier than me.
Wonderful.
And they will laugh, and they loved it. They really liked that ending. And of course, I think it's stuck in their mind that even if not for anything for her,
for the beauty,
her looks,
we
will vote for her. And
for the dress sense also.
So you find that, honestly speaking, in those days, people were yearning for personalities they could look up to, and actually, they looked at all of us and felt, no, we've tried men, let us try a woman. And for me, it was
a beautiful woman.
I was, well, that's for them to decide. And for me, I think that put a heavy burden on me. And I also remember the day we collected the return certificate from INEC. And I will never forget that the World Press was now interviewing the opposition that lost, and said to him, now that they've given her the certificate of return, what are you going to do? Are you going to court to challenge these elections? He looked at the gentleman and said, no, if I were not a candidate, I would have voted for her. So for me, it was like,
that settles it.
That was it. So nobody went to court. It was fair, free and fair, people's choice. That was what they wanted. And he himself agreed that was the choice from that. So that really brought a lot of pressure on me, because you have to deliver. And of course, that was I only came to deliver. That's why I came out to run, because I saw that there are so many things missing. There's a lot of lacuna, and this is an opportunity. It's a new democratic process. There's a new democratic process. We've struggled to get the military out. Let us show them, the military, how things are done.
It's like setting the template now.
Yes.
You've not been doing it well. Now we are here to teach you.
Yes, so if we're saying they should go, we have to all stand up and show them this is why we wanted you to go, so let us show you how it's supposed to be done. So one hit the ground running, and from day one, I knew what I wanted to achieve. One of my strongest desire then was, I kept seeing there was a conspiracy of silence in this part of the world, not only here, across the whole country, on the issue of HIV/AIDS. And at that time, here in Abuja, you had, in a 10-bed hospital, like 7 beds were people who were assembling on that AIDS. So I felt in my constituency, this is high. What can we do to bring out the awareness, break that silence? The elites knew about it. They were quiet about it. They were getting treatment with it. The others were just falling sick and titling it, "Your enemies got you."
So the spiritual
yes. So I felt, no, this is an epidemic waiting to happen. And if you know enough about it, you will know. Then not many people knew much about it. And it was like, look, my very, very first committee budget, I was sitting in the health committee budget, and there we were. And the minister was there. I'm a member of the committee, and I kept going through to see where's the AIDS. What did the ministry have for them? And I came across it, and I saw 1 million naira for the AIDS program for the whole nation.
That's preposterous.
That shocked me, and I asked the minister, what do you want to do with this? And it's like, HIV/AIDS was not their priority. They had more pressing issues. So I whispered to the chairman, I said, "Chairman, I am interested in this. It's a developmental, it's a key thing in our lives." He says, "Okay, what do you propose?" So I made a proposal, like, let's hack up the allocation and make sure we fund it properly, because we have to break the conspiracy of silence. And it was agreed. And we were able to get more revenue towards the AIDS campaign.
The issue of HIV, there was a serious level of denial, like it does not exist.
Yes. So interesting then, because nobody even knew what it was. Those that knew denied that's why I called conspiracy of silence. I knew 1 or 2 people that were suffering from it, but nobody would speak out and say, let's stand up.
Discrimination.
Now, why did I feel so passionate about it? I came across 2 people in the past that had it, 2 gentlemen, and very close up. And it hit me that that's probably what they had as far back as 1986. And when I even came into Abuja, I met someone that all of a sudden he started breaking out in open sores, and he had just come from his village. And I'm like, he thinks somebody did the voodoo on him in the village. But because I've been reading up on this, I kind of gave him a pamphlet that just threw it around that, look, they said it was a viral attack. Now, viral attack, you can have a viral cold, viral anything. So people don't,
infections.
yeah. But to cut a long story short, for me, at that time, I felt women we were the most at risk of this scourge. And if we don't do anything, we will be most affected. And I felt I have to stand up. And immediately I told the chairman, the minister, I said, please, can you tell your department to see me so they can brief me and tell us what they're doing. You know, this is the assembly. We need to know what they're doing. So they came and they came and discussed. They were so excited. And we had very nice briefing.
Was interested in...
And I remember the gentleman that was in charge then, Dr. What's his name now? I forgot. I do come. And we spoke, and they went back and came with a letter saying they've appointed me the World AIDS Campaign chairperson. I accepted, and we ran with it. And look, till today, that's one singular thing that I'm most proud of. I've been achieved. Today, everybody knows about it.
HIV.
You know how to protect yourself, and people are not just dying endlessly. Then it was bad because you find a man has 2 wives or more, and he's infected, he infects them, and then you have children left uncared for.
That's wonderful. Like you've heard, she was one of those people who broke the silence when it comes to the HIV/AIDS. And thank God today, we do not have to discuss too much on HIV. Most people, they have at least a bit of information to a reasonable extent. Thank you very much, ma'am. We'll be going to our next question. Before going to the next question, when I was reading up some things about you, they said you lost in the primary in 2003 because you were one of those who moved for the impeachment of the then president. That was why something was done, a cocoon was formed against you.
Well, I still say tutu mulki mantasha. The bottom line is that in 1999, when we came and we said the military should go, many of us were determined to have a Nigeria where you don't need to know anybody to make a beautiful life. You can get on with your life, send your children to schools that are good, decent, and you can live within your income bracket. And the notion of corruption would not be there. So this is what we came for.
That was the drive.
And we were motivated. We didn't have godfathers. We went to the people and said, vote for us, we can give you this. And they believed. And we became, by the grace of God, we won our elections. And we're now in the National Assembly. Most people don't understand the democratic process. The highest level, the first station of democracy, port of call, is the legislature.
Legislature.
So even when you open the Constitution, the legislature first, before executive.
Because it is the laws you guys make that will be implemented and interpreted.
Yes, it says clearly, we're there to make laws for the good governance, peace and good governance of the country. And when you're making laws, the biggest laws that affect people every day is that of budget. People don't even see it as lawmaking, but that is it. You're given instrument to the executive to execute the job that will crank the economy.
Prosperity.
So that is the first most important law we make. Now, in making such laws, you would expect that the executive will comply with it. We, in Nigeria, we've adopted the United States system of federalism. And unless you understand their own history, how it came about, then if you're taking the whole thing,
Hook, line, sinker.
you have to understand how it works. So technically, in that system, when they decided to start the process, the lawmakers, so to speak, were there to make the laws, and they had their businesses and that they were doing. And they left the business of running the country to the executive arm, the president. And now it's on his turf that he will now come and tell us what he needs.
What you're supposed to do.
What he needs to do for us. And then we will say, oh, okay, let's take a look at it. No, I don't need that in my area. I need the blue. I don't need the water. I think the roads are better for us. You understand? So everybody chip in and say, he brings the draft. It's like, I won't use the word. People will quote me. I say they're subservient. But he's there to come to us and say, look, this is what I'm proposing to do for the nation this year on your behalf. So we look at it, that water project, we don't want water projects in my area. Our priority is education, or factories, and so on and so forth. So everybody now strives to locate what they need within. By the time they finish it, they'll now say, okay, we're done with it. This is what we want you to do for us. That's having passed the budget, they now pass it to them to assent and work with. So there's no way the budget as it comes from the executive will leave the assembly like that.
Without some alterations.
It's not alterations. It's a draft. It's a draft. It's a lawmaking process. It's like, let's say societies of engineers, they have laws. They want certain laws to regulate their industry. They may draft something and either give it to a member to bring as a private member's bill, or they may push it through the executive arm and it is brought in as an executive bill. Now, that comes in. Once it comes in, it's all a proposal.
It's tentative.
It's just a proposal. It's a draft of something they're interested in doing. Now, it's the assembly now will look at it and call other people that, look, we have this document talking about maybe stevedoring in Nigeria, for instance. All of you that are interested in stevedoring, please, on day 6th of March, come to a public hearing and let us hear your views on it. Do you get it?
Yes.
So you make the documents.
So because I have to go on a break very soon.
Yeah.
So how did things fall apart?
Nothing. The fall apart is after you've done the draft, after the draft has come and you've passed it. That's when they said the National Assembly has passed the budget. And only thing that the president can do is sign it. And he signs it. Now it becomes an official document, a law that he must follow. Now he will decide, I don't like that ministry, I'm not going to fund, I'm not going to make sure.
Selective.
That's it. So in being selective, he's technically being unconstitutional.
And undermining
the development. No, not undermining, he's undermining the country, the law of the country. It's not the Senate that will benefit directly, it's the country. If you put roads in, it's every Nigerian that applies that route that will benefit. So if you're selective and you're pushing and trying to manipulate a lot of things in a manner that affects the Constitution, and you're breaching the Constitution consistently, we have a choice.
Impunity.
No, I would say consistently. We at the Assembly have a choice to allow you to do what you like, or bring you to book and say, no, the law is clear, you've broken this part. Do this, you've broken this, you are answerable to this, get it right. Remember, that was the first time we're coming in a long time.
Yes.
So we were like pioneers. We wanted to set
a template
for the right way of doing things. And a few people didn't get what we were pushing for. Once you have this strong institution and you make the law of the country strong, that nobody's above the law, we're all safe. Because once the law is there to protect everyone, then you can go to sleep that if anybody contravenes the law, he will be dealt with according to the law. But where the law can be bent at wills and caprices, then nobody is safe.
And it's no longer a law.
No, it is, but no one is safe.
No one is safe.
So that's not the Nigeria we want. We don't want anybody above the law. I feel safer when I know I'm under the law. Not that I'm obeying the law, somebody goes round and can get away with it.
And the law is now implemented on some selective people. We have to go on a break now. I hope you've heard what Ajia said, that a law is actually what ought to be happening once implemented. So you do not have the latitude to shift whether you are going to obey the law or not. Everybody should be under the law. So we'll go on a short break now, and I have more interesting questions for you. Welcome back to the Nexus, where we provide clarity. Seated beside me is the distinguished Senator Adia Khairat Abdulrazaq, a one-time senator representing the FCT. So I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Now I'm coming with more pleasures for you, so just sit behind there. I read one of your interviews where you mentioned that the reason why you came back after the span of 15 years to contest in this 2019 election was because to you feel the FCT inhabitants, they've suffered great deal of neglect. That they've suffered great deal of neglect. That is why you are coming to rejuvenate everything and put everything on the right track. I do not. What sort of neglect are you talking about?
You've been reading a lot. Actually, as much as people say that FCT is for everybody and that there's nobody indigent in FCT. It's a popular saying. Sometimes it's offensive. It's just a pity that we, as I call it, we as a country, where the leadership governance continues. So one government runs continuously into another. Now, originally, you know the history where the late General Murtala Mohammed had decided that the congestion of Lagos was so bad, they had to look for a new capital. And in seeking or looking for a new capital, they went around the country and the decision was made that this area we call the Federal Capital Territory was central to most parts of the country, equidistant to the furthest points. In fact, where the radio house is called the center of Nigeria, that rock point. That's point 0, right? Now,
I hope you've gotten that. The center of Nigeria is the radio house there in the Federal Capital Territory. I'm hearing that for the first time.
Not that one, where the radio station is, that hill?
Yes.
By Zimabushi, that.
Around the Mabuchi area.
Now, they started implementing after acquiring the Capital Territory. Actually, the Capital Territory is about 8,000 square kilometers. It's huge. And if you can imagine, it fence in those days, you have to travel from here, actually. You go from Abuja, where we are.
Yes, ma'am.
You travel to Suleja in Niger State and traverse back to enter Abuja again. So that's one end of Abuja, which is supposed to be part of Abaji local government. If you know what I mean. You know where Suleja is.
Yes.
You go to almost Lapai.
So it's like the extreme end.
Then another end, you go from where we are, you go all the way to Abaji. And you turn left and keep going to Nasarawa State. You go out of Nasarawa State and come back again into FCT to Gudunkaria. Now, the distance is massive. And the road network is very bad. if you want to go to Gudunkaria, which is in Kuje, technically, you can go from here, you go through Karshi. If the roads are opened up,
Yes.
and you can traverse it and go to other parts. If you say there are no agencies, you find the people who are local to the community there. And they're everywhere. Garaki village, Wuse.
Those the FCT met here.
Where the capital met.
Where the capital met.
And the land was taken from that territory. Now, it was a confusion of sorts. They originally started to move people out. That was the policy. You move them out to near the. Technically, they were technically they were part of a state. So it came from part of Kwara, Abaji axis, part of Niger, a huge part of Niger, Kaduna, and Benue Plateau, which is Nasarawa end today. So these were the states that contributed the land mass that we call FCT. And in so doing, the original plan was that everybody that found themselves within that would be asked to move to the rest of their state. And they started moving people out gradually, and they were compensated. Now, if you are going to Kaduna on the express road from here, you will come to a place called New Wuse. That's where all the people in Wuse were moved to, and so on and so forth, you see. But all of a sudden, the same General Olusegun Obasanjo came and decided, no, it's too expensive to move people out. Let them stay. That's where the complications came up. Now, in saying you're staying, technically you could have given them a status and say you're first settlers. Because if we're saying it's a clean territory, then you say these are the first settlers, and you give them a status of such. Because we that have come later are later settlers. And there will be more later settlers, and so on. Now, in so doing, you're not taking into cognizance, you've technically made them stateless. And they will have generation, and the generation's growing.
Their lineage.
So how do you take care of that? Many of them have ancestral burial grounds, ancestral rites places. So how do you take care of that? The part that really touches me is a man is farming his land, and he goes to bed tired after a whole day's job. He wakes up in the morning, maybe he doesn't feel like going to the farm that day. All of a sudden he hears there's a bulldozer on his land. I mean, let's feel how it feels.
Yes.
And they've kind of pegged the place and said it's no longer his. It's no longer his. It belongs to somebody, and the person brings a document. What stops? If you must give it out, why don't you give it to the man? If he has to sell it, then that's his luck that he has sold it. You understand? Yes. Let him have an opportunity to have access.
To take the decision.
And there are a few of these things that have fallen through the cracks for them. And for me, even the Fulani settlers, they are badly hit here. They have bad press anyway, because of those who are the bandits. So nobody has sympathy for them. But technically, many of those who are here I'm in touch with a lot of them who have been suffering in silence. They're not attuned to the Western modern ways.
Yes.
They're still in their own ways. And they technically don't have a voice. There's nowhere to go and complain. Sometimes in the middle of the night, they get their things stolen and they're attacked, and nobody to go to. Now, here they are. They're used to grazing the entire area, the entire territory.
It was bushy, so...
They're used to grazing. Then every time they move during the migration period and come back, there's a new road or a new building. But most people don't realize that the animals have the DNA of their grazing lands. And that's why you see the cattle are always on the streets.
So, because I'm enjoying what you're saying, but I have to keep to time. Now you've mentioned some of the neglect that has happened even from inception. So, you coming now in 2019, what was your hope? What were you planning to do?
Well, my plan was and I've been out quiet watching, but I haven't seen much progress. You're running, but on the same spot.
Maybe moving, not progressing.
Nothing. Yeah, a lot of motion, but
No progress.
no progress in the direction I believe we should be progressing. They may think they're progressing, but in my view,
They are just moving.
I don't see that happening. Now, how do you take care of their peculiar needs? Because for the mere fact that you recognize the traditional institutions, you are acknowledging that they exist.
They exist.
You get it?
Yes.
Now, once you have that, we need to begin to look at how do we now marry it together in a way that it's a win-win for everybody.
Not taking everything away from them.
Yes, it's a win-win. They can't lose all. Just remember that when a man feels pushed to the wall, he has nowhere else to go but to turn around and face.
Yes.
And that's what I don't want to happen. And you could see in their faces, when I was campaigning, I could see the younger generation had a different expression on them. And that is what was propelling me. And no. We have to save that.
Something must be done.
Something must be done
Before the outbreak.
It's too late. And I'm calling on everybody that let's work together and find a solution to this FCT problem.
Thank you very much. I will be going to another question now. The National Assembly is a place saddled with the responsibility of lawmaking. They perform their oversight function. And like when I introduced that the other time, I mentioned that she was the chairman of the Senators Forum, where the incumbent senators and the past senators share their experiences. So she's in the best position. We are looking forward to the ending of May or the beginning of June, where we have a serious context for the leadership of the Senate and also the House of Representatives. We know in most cases it's just the choice of the party that dictates the tone of who emerges as the Senate President, as the Speaker. But someone like Tambuwa changed the narrative. Later on, Dogara and Saraki changed the narrative again in 2015. And now it's now becoming more interesting. Before, it was just a run-of-the-mill. We know whoever the party picks will definitely emerge. But now we have two candidates, even for the position of the Senate presidency. And the two candidates, funnily, they were one of them is still the majority leader in the Senate, and one a former majority leader. We have in person of distinguished Senator Aliu Indume and also distinguished Senator Ahmad Lawal vying for the same position under the same umbrella of APC. How do you see this work out? Because we've heard maybe I'll just allow you to do the talking. What do you see? How do you see this?
Well, I can liken it to how our own experience was when we first came. Maybe that will show you the direction.
No.
In those days, we the majority party at the time, decided that we would align. We had one candidate because everybody was campaigning, and the candidate of choice, I think out of 65, 67 ruling party senators at the time, we hadn't even been sworn in, taken our oath. About 61 had signed a document to say they were
endorsing
the candidate. And that was done. And an attempt was made to try and get the party to accept the endorsement and let us go in with one voice. But for some reason, it didn't quite work out. Another group decided they needed another person. And that was where things started changing.
The twist.
And the twist came, and of course, on election day on the floor, the man that had the majority lost election.
But democracy is supposed to be a game of the majority.
Yes, but by the time elections on the floor, Chuba Okadigbo did not win. He had 41 or 42 odd senators with him, and Ewerem won. Now, that for me was a shocker. And unlike what...
It was a shocker welcoming you to the real Senate.
Yes, because we were not expecting that. It was really tense, just like now. And at that time also it was said that the candidate of the... Ewerem was a candidate of the presidency, whereas Chuba was a candidate of the members.
So, and the presidency now won the legislature.
And by so doing singularly, they made the majority party, ruling party, a minority in the Senate. Now, we've seen the dance go back and forth. 2015 was a similar dance where you had the majority party
conceding some key...
No, the majority party was coming in with the candidate, and at that time it seemed that the majority of the senators were going to go for that majority candidate. And for some, I don't know, bizarre occurrence, they didn't present themselves to the assembly to show their strength. They went to another hall, and that was how the minority now took charge of the House.
So the majority, the minority here is in the sense of legitimacy or popularity, not in the sense of the party?
When I'm saying majority, it's a party that has majority in parliament. Now, the party with the majority in parliament would bring the president of the Senate. They're the ones to vote or present a candidate on their platform.
It's on simple majority.
Yes. But to remove him is quite difficult.
I have very short time now. Thanks for giving the history. So what are your conjectures, your predictions? What are the things you see drawn out? Because some people, they've mentioned that Senator Aliu Ndume, even in 2015, he was one of those who campaigned for Bukola Saraki against the will of the party, and now also going against the person the party is presenting, Ahmed Lawal, who took his position also. So it might be something linked with retribution, revenge, or something.
No,
so
nothing like
now,
that.
What should we expect? What are the possible outcomes of this particular contest?
You know, one thing most people don't understand is that the legislature is very independent in the way they do their things. In the Senate, in the legislature, you're not really under the pressure of your party, because you have a
constituency.
No, you have a clash between the oath you stand up. You come into the legislature on the platform of your party. That's how you arrive. But the moment you've arrived, you now take an oath of the country.
To serve the country.
To serve the country. So now your conscience will now be between, am I to serve my conscience, my party, or the country?
The party or the country?
That should not be, there should be no conflict there. The country comes first. Whatever you do there, it's for the best interest of the country, because you are there to make laws for peace and good governance of the Federal Republic. And if your party says go left and you decide to go right, that's why we have party caucuses where decisions are taken there, particularly within the parliament there, to ensure balancing. Otherwise, you're going to have rancor in the system. And I assure you, legislators are very independent. Very, very independent.
So we should hope for a serious context.
Well, it's good for democracy.
I've heard that it's
good. It's healthy. And one thing you should understand, legislators don't squabble. Once it's settled on the day of election, everybody goes back to doing what they're there to do.
No animosity?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's just the position is first amongst equal.
Yes,
That's
yes.
what they're
You all have rights. Even if they
Yes.
say it's a second time around, and no, you all have rights to
Yes,
become.
yes, we're first amongst equals, and it's the best person that is able to convince votes. If the party decides, for instance, they prefer Mr. A, and on the floor, it's not only the party members that are going to vote.
Yes.
There are other party members that will vote. So it depends on how many votes you are able to garner from opposition, or how it's a lot of trade-off. You never know how it's going to turn out.
So,
but it's interesting.
Even with what you just said now, Senator Idume hasn't taken his oath, but already working. Like you said, it's when you take the oath, you now start to see between the country and the party. But he has not even taken the oath. So, according to you now, it's a legitimate cause for him to contest, and it strengthens democracy also.
Of course, look, you need to say party supremacy. That's what you want to say.
Yes.
But within the party supremacy, the rule of law is still there. The Constitution, the supremacy of the Constitution, is the ground norm. After all, if you decide, anybody decides they don't want to follow party ways, the party can sanction. Party has ways of dealing with people that don't listen to party. But you're still at liberty.
To follow your conscience.
Yes. That's the beauty of our Constitution, and that's the beauty of democracy. And it's, I remember the same thing happened a couple of times back. And you cannot, the legislator doesn't like to be dictated to from outside. They like to kind of do their own thing independently. But this time around, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays itself. And most importantly, no matter how it plays out, we're all one family.
You still come back
no, it's one family.
So from Ajia Khairat, we wish you all the best, Senator Idume, and we also wish you all the best, Senator Ahmad Lawal. We'll be going for a short break now. When we come back, we'll be going to the auto get thing. So we'll go on a short break now. Then when we come back, we go to Kwara Street. Welcome back to the continuation of the Nexus. I told you that once we come back now, we will be looking at the Otunya versus the Otoge. Some people would say it's now sterile, but we have some things to discuss. The election has been won. The Kwara has been dominated by PDP, from PDP to APC, the Baba Saraki. We had Mohammed Lawal as the governor from 1999 to 2003. We had Bukola Saraki leading them for 8 years. After Bukola Saraki, we had Abdul Fattah Ahmad. Some people would say he's also a Sarakian. If we have something like that, like we have the Kwankwasian, the Sarakian house. From there, he spent his 8 years, and now we have a governor-elect, Governor Abdulrazaq. We have, like I told you, Ajia Khairat. I'm very sure she will tell us our relationship with the governor-elect. So, Ajia, basically, what is your relationship with the governor-elect of Kwara?
It's a cordial one.
Very cordial one. Aha. So I should expect good answers to my questions then. I'm taking you now as someone within the APC caucus. How do you people plan to make sure that the mandate that has been given to you would not be withdrawn back? There won't be another Otoge in the next 4 years in 2023 if you are not able to deliver on your promises. So basically, how do you intend to move from this Otoge in 2023 to Otunya? Because people might just go back to their Otoge also in 2023. So how will the APC, what is your plan in implementing your promises, your campaign promises to the Kwarans?
The most important thing is we thank Almighty for the victory in Kwara. It's actually a revolution, they say, but it's a victory, it's the people's victory. And when you say it's the people's victory, it's the people themselves that had enough. Not only had they had enough for all these years, they've finally had the courage to say they've had enough.
That's the meaning of Otoge, we've had enough. Maybe just to clarify something so that you will know that it's truly the mandate of the people, like it has been said. We have 8 House of Representative members from that particular state. It was cleared by APC. We have 3 senators. It was cleared by APC. We have 1 governor. It was cleared by APC. So I hope you get the gist now.
So it's a huge responsibility. It reminds me of 1999 when we came. The tremendous goodwill and the tremendous expectation. The expectations are high and really right up there. And it's very difficult to match such expectation. It's like they expect that a magic wand will be
within the flash of
will
light.
be done, but it takes time. All we say is they should be patient. The road to success and achieving the change is what we are on. Most importantly, you know, when you campaign and you say whatever your proposal, you talk about what you intend to do.
Manifesto.
Yeah, but for me, it's just like your intention. This is what I intend to do. It's more or less, I would do this when I get there, I'll do that. And you plan it, and you get into the office. And what you actually expect to find is...
It's totally different.
It's totally different. Now, you've raised expectations, and you go in, your expectations are dashed.
Are not met.
Are dashed completely. And you're probably going to, like the president, Muhammad Buhari said, that he almost ran away when he saw the...
But whose fault is that? Isn't it the fault of the person?
Who?
For it seems like an excuse when you tell us that you didn't meet what you expected. Are you not supposed to know what is really there before you try to solve
Okay.
the problem?
Just like I was coming in here, didn't know what to expect, right?
But at least...
My expectations are not dashed because I didn't know what to expect. But if I had raised expectation, I probably would be surprised. Now, you never know the working of a government until you are actually sitting in the government. And there are many things that are hidden to the public. But you have facts that trickle out. You can only speculate on those facts that are trickling out before you actually get there. Excuse me. And getting there and seeing things for what they are, you must quickly think, how do I maneuver around this and not make it an obstacle? How do I?
It's an excuse not to do well.
It's not it's an excuse, but you don't dwell on it.
Yes.
You just get on, roll up your sleeves, and think out of the box. Okay, fine, we've met this mess. Do we look at it, or we try and do something else while we come back to address it? But the key is, if you come in and you have a huge debt burden, and you have to, let me give you a scenario, for example. If your allocation from the federal government is, say, 1,000 naira a month, and you get in and you received your 1,000 naira, they've told you the 1,000 naira is here, but you are only going to get 50, 100 naira.
From the 1,000?
You're not going to ask a question?
Serious questions.
So they will tell you most of it is
used in servicing debt.
Debts. So what can you do with 100 naira?
And you've made a promise targeting the 1,000.
Thank you. You can understand now.
Yes.
So if you say they shouldn't use it as an excuse, what should they use? You have to think outside the box. How do I use this 100 now? Or how do I sit with those debts and see how do I bring it down so I can at least, people are queuing, expecting miracles to happen.
Yes.
So how do you work with that? That's the question. And it's a really difficult thing to say that you are not going to at least try your best. You will have to work hard because you have the people's mandate. And with the people's mandate and with the grace of God, you would find alternative ways of working.
So what should the choirs look forward to now from APC in Kwara now? Are they facing education? What are their focal points? What
Well,
should be our expectations?
the expectations, as soon as the governor, like he said it repeatedly, his core areas. And for him, it's an all-inclusive government. He repeats that. And for him, he's going to make sure that he tackles all the rots that they see. For instance, in so doing, he's going to ensure that his core areas are met. Now, I am aware that he's not taking a rest.
Even now.
You could see he's visiting and trying to reach out to different organizations, different countries, going around to see how can you come and help us. I don't even know. It's like saying, I don't know what I'm going to meet. But let me start on the premise that it may be worse. It may not be as good as I think, right? So, are you ready to work with me? What areas can you work with us, depending on what we meet? So, as opposed to those who would just win and say, okay, when we get there, we'll see what is there, and when we see it, then we know where to go to. No, there's no time for that. So he's already reaching out to so many sectors. He went to the CEO, African CEO conference, to where you see a lot of investors, and many of them are reaching out. And he's gone to visit a lot of countries, and countries that he hasn't gone to. I think he's visited a few ambassadors locally.
So you're also using this medium on his behalf to invite investors to Kwara?
Yes, well, thank you. You've spoken for us.
So investors, we are calling, you can come to Kwara. So before I hand off the program, I'm very sure some people watching this program, they are watching because they are ladies. I even have one of them here in the studio. What's your parting word for women? What is your parting word for women? Before I come to your parting word for the FCT natives and inhabitants.
Parting word for women and youth. My parting word for women is, yes, you can. Don't sit there and say, oh, there's no limit
to what you can achieve.
The only thing that's limiting it is yourself. So rise above it and just think of what you want to do. Start planning it and go for it. You'll be surprised the kind of help you'll get on the way.
So, let me just do a recap of what she just said. Do not sit at home and start seeing the stumbling blocks. Just start, help we come. Maybe Ajia might be willing to help you. Now, I will now come to your parting word for we that will stay in the FCT and the FCT natives.
Well, my parting words for FCT, for all of us in FCT, is that we need to first and foremost pay our taxes, but then demand services from that taxes. Because we pay, and then you fold your hands, and sometimes they say you pay your tournament rate, or they're still off something. Pay, but we must come together and demand to see the work done.
How do you demand and it doesn't become unruly?
Oh, it's not going to be unruly. All you need to do by the time you go to the different levels to make your complaints and insist, okay, what did you do with... you can ask questions. We in this neighborhood have been paying our taxes. What have you done for us? What do you have planned for us? We don't ask questions. We must ask questions and be organized about getting our demands. Wherever you're living, some areas, for instance, don't have their rubbish collected. You have them piled in the streets. You're paying taxes. They should get the rubbish off the road for you.
I think we'll be rounding out the program, but before going, we saw you in 2019, and you said we've suffered lots of neglect, and the FCT people, they didn't give you the mandate.
No, not the FCT people. It was a party thing. It was inconclusive elections.
It was, So are we still expecting you in 2023?
You never can tell.
When politicians tell you, you never can tell, expect her.
No, I love the legislature. I've always still now worked with them. It's the best place to be. Even though you people don't like, you say negative things about that.
If not for time, I would have asked, I hope my producer won't be angry, for those who just move straight to contest for the presidency, with what you just said now, where they should go is the legislature.
You know, I a quick one. Many of the governors that are in the legislature today
Yes.
have said to us that, if they had known, they would have just come here straight. That says it all.
I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I've enjoyed myself, and I'm very sure you've enjoyed yourself also. I've been in the Nexus studio with Khairat Abdulrazaq, and I've had a wonderful time. I'm very sure you will learn some beauty tips. I would have asked her to give us some tips at this age, still flourishing and looking. I hope Alaji is not watching me. So I would just like to round it out here. I've enjoyed myself. Keep in contact with the Nexus. We provide clarity, and I hope you've been able to get some clarifications. Thank you very much, the Nexus, providing clarity. I hope when next we invite you, we honor our invitation.
All right, I'll think about it.
Thank you very much. See you in our next episode. The Nexus, providing clarity.